I am so thrilled and excited that you are here. Today you're going to learn to make the suspender belt. So the suspender belt is adjustable through the waist, through the legs, and also through the thighs. Everything's adjustable and all the measurements are in a directions manual on the website. So head to indiajean.com or head to the link in the descriptions, and there you'll be able to download the directions manual with all the sizing for double XS to triple XL. So head to the website. This gorgeous leotard is part of the leotard wardrobe vault, which is where I go deep into making leotards. Okay, so let's get started. So you're going to need some O-rings. You're going to need 8 O-rings or 4 O-rings and 4 suspender clips. And you'll need 6 sliders and some beautiful stretchy strap elastic. How gorgeous is this one? So it's got like a glitter side, and on the other side it's really soft. Okay, so this is your hardware, and you've got your 6 sliders and your 4 O-rings. So the 4 O-rings are for the top and the other 4 for the bottom, but the other 4 you can also use as suspender clips. But we're just going to use the 8 O-rings for now. So this strap elastic is glitter on one side and super soft and plush on the inside, and it feels like you're wearing nothing. Super beautiful to wear, and it's a little bit more flexible than using the satin strap elastic, therefore it has more stretch. So we've got 4 straps here, and we're going to dive in and create essentially the waist. Okay, so we get the first strap, we'll slide it through the slider, and the slider is what makes it adjustable. So we're placing the strap elastic under one bar and then underneath the other. There's a little tail on the end. You'll end up putting it behind the slider, leaving about a centimeter or just under a centimeter, and you'll do this for all of your straps. Actually, just these 2, which is the long straps. So securing those 2 sliders on, nice and neat. So I used a white thread on this silver glitter because it just hides really well, like it disguises the fact that it's a white thread, and it just blends really well. You can put crystals on top of that if you wanted to, just to hide the thread and give it a little bit of pizzazz. Now on these 2 long ones, we're putting them to the side. The long ones are to the side, and then with our 2 shorter ones, we're going to put a ring here, and we will secure that. At the moment I'm using my famous bulldog clips to secure that ring, and then I will put a ring on the other side and secure that with a little bulldog clip. I'm just keeping the bulldog clips there until I actually go to the sewing machine and secure it with my stitches. Okay, and then placing a ring onto either side here, onto the other shorter strap, and secure that with a little clip or a pin, whatever works best for you, whatever's in your toolbox. I think I had one designer write in and said she couldn't find a clip, so she used sticky tape, and I thought that's just genius. No clips and no pins, but you've got sticky tape, that works. Use whatever you've got. So essentially here we have got a little O-ring on the end of each of those short straps. Here and here, we're going to secure those. So they've been secured on the sewing machine. I use zigzag stitches going down through the length. My strap elastic is 10 millimeters. My O-rings are 12 millimeters. So strap is 10 millimeter, O-rings are 12 millimeter. My sliders are 10 millimeter. There we are. So they're done. This is so exciting because we get to make the beautiful waist. So I am essentially threading one of those straps through one of the O-rings. There we are. And then, oh my God, it's so beautiful. And then I'll grab this, and with the wrong side of that long strap facing towards me, thread it up through one of the other rings on the other small strap underneath the first bar of the slider, and then underneath the other bar of the other slider, threading that all the way through. So they're both done now. So now we're going to link them all up together to create the waist strap. Okay, so we've got these in place, and one end goes through the O-ring on the other strap. And I'm securing this here so you get to see it before I sew it and you get an idea of what it will look like. And then the other end will secure onto the other O-ring, and that's going to essentially create a big loop. I'm placing another bulldog clip to keep these straps secure so that when I go over to the sewing machine, they don't fall apart on me. But that's essentially the waist strap, and it's ready to be sewn and secured. And that's what it looks like once it's secured. All of the straps, and that's essentially a belt. So even if you made this with, say, 20 millimeter elastic, this would essentially be a gorgeous adjustable belt for you. And then we're going to make the leg straps that will dangle off this waist strap. So I've got 4 straps, and the length for all these straps is on the website, and also it's located below in the caption, so you can click on the link that will take you straight to the pattern, which is on the website indiajean.com. So with these long leg straps, I'm putting a slider onto each of these leg straps. So underneath one bar and then underneath the second bar, and once all of the sliders are on each of those leg straps, I will secure them with a stitch. And I use a zigzag stitch because this is 10 millimeter. There's not a lot of width in it, so I usually do my zigzag stitch in the length of it. But if it was a little bit thicker, like if it was a 12 millimeter elastic, I would do a straight stitch. All right, so we're doing the last one and placing that strap through the slider. And remember, the little tail goes back on itself by about a centimeter, or maybe just underneath a centimeter, and you'll secure that in place with your sewing machine. Use whatever stitch feels right for you, or whatever stitch your sewing machine is capable of doing. And do that for all 4. There we are, so they're all secured. Not long to go now once we get these leg straps on. So we're just going to place one leg strap on each of these O-rings and they will dangle down. Okay, so With the wrong side of the strap elastic facing you, place it up through the O-ring, and then you will thread it through the O-ring back on itself so you see the really beautiful side of the strap elastic, and then you will thread that through underneath the first bar, and then you'll go through the second bar, and that will essentially be your very first leg strap, which is super exciting. Okay, so we're like halfway there. I told you you'd be able to make these in under an hour. So if you were rushing, like if you needed them this night or tonight or tomorrow, you could get the job done. So that's the first leg strap. So pretty. And on the end of these leg straps, you would either put an O-ring or you could put a suspender clip. On this video, we're just doing the O-ring on the end. So go ahead onto every single one of these O-rings, place your leg strap and secure it onto the slider. And having these adjustable leg straps just means that you can either have really long straps down to your mid-thigh or possibly a little bit lower down to your knee, or you might like to have your leg straps up a little bit higher so that the garter strap, which is the thigh strap, sits up closer to the bottom crease. Okay, so we are moving on to the back, and this is the third strap. There we are. It's so satisfying making straps. I think it because they're just so polished and so finished. And like I'm using 10mm straps here, but if you even use 12 or 15mm straps, it would look absolutely gorgeous. And this is the last leg strap being threaded through. And then we'll be able to move on to the thigh straps, and then it's literally finished. There we are. Oh, so beautiful. Everything is adjustable. The waist, the back, everything. Through the front of the waist and the back is really important because I find that those little O-rings need to be placed beautifully in the front and the back. And that's it. So now we're moving on to our thigh straps. I've got my rings, the 4 rings and the 4 sliders to make the thigh strap. So we're in the home stretch, everyone. So you'll see that I've got 2 different lengths. The shorter length goes around the outside of the thigh, and the longer length goes around through the inside of the thigh. So threading up all of these straps with your slider and placing them onto the end with a little bit of a tail. So you've got your centimeter tail or just under a centimeter, and do that for all of the straps, and then secure that on your sewing machine with a zigzag stitch or a straight stitch. And if you're anything like me, you'll probably trial all the stitches to see which one works best. And that I highly recommend, because I think that it's good to trial these things, because sometimes it looks better on some straps and some fabric to do a zigzag or a straight. And I think it's all personal choice as well. And it's also dependent on what you've got available. So all of these straps are threaded onto their sliders, so all we need to do is secure them on the sewing machine. There we are, fold that back, and then we'll do our little stitches here and here, all four. There we are, that's what they look like, all done. And now we're ready to move on to threading them through the rings. That's what they look like front and back. There we are. Alright, so now we're getting ready to thread these four. So I'm starting off with this shorter end and I'm threading it through one of the O-rings, wrong side facing up, back on itself so you see the pretty side of the strap elastic. Thread it underneath the first bar and then underneath the second bar. And that's the first one done. So we just used the short strap just then. And now we're moving on to a longer strap, and that strap goes through the same hole that you just threaded. So through the same O-ring, you will thread a larger or the longer strap. Okay. And securing that and securing that through the last bar of the slider. A little bit fidgety. Like I said, the satin straps are a lot firmer than the glitter straps. These ones are a little bit on the softer side, so it may take a few goes actually getting it underneath the bar, but that's just all part of the process. Just be patient, enjoy the journey. There we go. So now we're going to place one O-ring to join these two straps up. So an O-ring will go here on the end of the short strap. I'm securing that with a little bulldog clip. And then the longer strap end will go on the end of this ring, and I will secure that with a bulldog clip as well. Beautiful. Now you can see what it's starting to look like, and then I'll move on to the other short strap and place an O-ring onto this, or this strap through this O-ring, thread it back on itself, and I will secure that onto the slider. Literally, it's the same process that we just did on the first thigh strap. We're just copying what we've just done onto this thigh strap, starting with the shorter strap through that O-ring, and then we'll move on to this longer strap and place it through the same O-ring as this shorter strap. And we'll thread that through underneath the first bar, then the second bar. Perfect. Oh, so pretty. And then we'll move on to this part. So we'll just get the last remaining O-ring and we will slide that short end of the bra strap or the strap through the O-ring, secure that with a little bulldog clip, and then do the long strap, thread that through the same O-ring and secure that with your stitches on the sewing machine. That's what one looks like. It's so pretty. And that's what it looks like. Super adjustable. Remember, the short strap goes on the outer edge and the long strap goes on the inner edge, and that way it will look all lined up on your thighs and super beautiful. What I love about this is making two and putting the two together to create, like, this is quite dynamic when you have those two together. Look at that. It's absolutely beautiful. I think even if that was in red, it'd look gorgeous, but any color. And this sparkly strap elastic is stunning, and it really does draw the eye into that area. So now we're going to attach these thigh straps onto the suspender belt leg straps. Okay, so I've got the front facing me, and then I have my leg straps. Just trying to line it all up so that it's visually good for you to watch and take in. Ah, so pretty. Okay, so now we've got our first leg garter, and the shorter strap is on the outside and on the inside is the longer strap. So here we go, threading that front leg strap through the front O-ring. That O-ring's very important because you've got the short strap on the right and the long strap on the left. And we're working on the right leg facing us. Or it's the right side facing the video. Okay, and then the back strap goes into the back O-ring on the thigh. Secure that with a little bulldog clip. Stunning, absolutely stunning. Oh my God. You could probably just do one leg. It's giving me ideas now. Okay, so now we're moving on to the other side, which is the left side. And then you're grabbing your garter belt. The shorter side is on the outside part of the thigh, and the long side is on the inside of your thigh. Placing the front strap through the front O-ring, secure with that with a bulldog clip, and then you'll end up sewing that into place. Clipping that, and then doing the same for the back of the thigh with the back leg strap, threading that through that back O-ring, so you've got the 3 straps in 1 O-ring now. So you can essentially go larger with your O-rings if you would prefer. And then secure those all in place, and then I'll show you what it looks like on the mannequin. Ta-da! That's what she looks like. That's what you just made in under an hour. Congratulations. You should be super proud of yourself. And remember, as always, let me know how you go with all these patterns. You can get this pattern on the website, or it's in the link in the description below. And the sizing comes in XXS all the way up to XXXL. Everything is adjustable, and there's also a directions manual. So if you prefer to read a directions manual than watch a video, that's also there available for you. Let me know how you go. Stay creative, stay beautiful, and enjoy the creative journey. And I'll see you next video.